Good evening, I'm Paul Hunter, and this is The National. Reaching out and touching nobody in Atlantic Canada.
I don't realize how much I depend on my phone until something like this happens.
Widespread phone problems leave many in the region out of touch and out of luck. A blunt message to those peddling White House secrets.
I have this warning for would-be leakers: don't do it.
The Trump administration draws a line in the sand and gearing up for a final day of glory. Usain Bolt will cross the line for the last time. People across Atlantic Canada were transported back in time this morning, plummeted into digital darkness for most of the day after a crucial cable was clipped. No internet, no phone, but also no credit cards and no ATMs. It even delayed planes and hampered emergency services. Tonight, the connection seems to be fixed, and that means our Brett Ruskin can actually bring us the details of the outage from Halifax.
The Halifax Stanfield Airport usually only looks like this during holidays and hurricanes. But today, a telecommunications outage caused chaos, forcing many flights to be cancelled or delayed. It was a similar story across much of Atlantic Canada. In St. John's, Megan Martin's cancelled flight meant she'd miss a family reunion.
I'm coming home.
So we're not going now?
No, we're not going. We're going to miss it all.
Tonight, Bell said phones were down because a construction company accidentally clipped 2 fiber optic cables. The cables are owned by Bell Alliant, but used by companies like TELUS, Koodo, and Virgin Mobile. In Nova Scotia, more than 80% of cell phone users are signed up with those companies.
Not having any service is kind of a rough go for a little bit, because I mean, like, can't use the internet, killing data, can't text, but I don't know, I guess we'll get by.
But the outage also had much broader implications. It knocked out landline, cellular, and internet services. Banks like this one in Charlottetown were forced to close. ATMs were offline, and many businesses like this Halifax bar could only take cash. Some patios, usually packed, were empty.
We really rely on technology, so it's really hard to just run businesses without having these things up and running.
Meanwhile, paramedics and volunteer firefighters were told to go back to their stations to be dispatched directly in case of emergency.
Even some 911 services were affected. At one point in the day, landline 911 service was intermittent, though authorities say there are no known cases where someone needed help and wasn't able to receive it. Not everyone was affected, though. This small business was still able to operate because they were on a different network.
Fortunately, we're not with Bell right now, so the ups and downs of it all, we're still running pretty strong.
Tonight, Bell says service was fully restored after repairs to its infrastructure. Meanwhile, back at the airport, many people were stuck waiting for hours. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Halifax.
And it's a classic cliche if you're looking for a police officer to hit up a donut shop, right? Well, during those phone outages today, that's exactly where you could find one detachment. RCMP in Guysborough, Nova Scotia posted that they were caught up in the phone problems. Their solution, move the office to the local donut store. They set up shop at Robin's Donuts and told locals to call there for help. Justin Trudeau has proudly declared again and again, refugees are welcome here. But with the recent wave of asylum seekers streaming across the border into Canada, today his Minister of Immigration had a different message. Hannah Thibodeau explains.
From the recent wave of asylum seekers we've seen in Quebec this week to migrants who risked their lives walking over the border in Manitoba in the middle of winter. It's a common refrain. Many made their way to Canada in part because they heard Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was encouraging them to come. Even today, as the PM visited the Glengarry Highland Games, he again called Canada a beacon of hope.
We are an open and compassionate country, but we have a strong system that we follow.
You cannot be here.
The migrants are illegally crossing into Canada from the U.S., and Trudeau isn't directly discouraging them.
There's border checkpoints and border controls that we need to make sure are respected. This is a situation that we are dealing with, but certainly I would encourage people to go through the proper processes.
In the past, Trudeau has repeatedly branded Canada as open. There was the image of Trudeau warmly welcoming Syrians, personally giving the children teddy bears and snowsuits. And in January, he famously tweeted, "Canadians will welcome you," after President Donald Trump's first travel ban was introduced. Border guards in Quebec are calling what they see a crisis. Politicians in Ottawa call it a fluctuation in numbers.
The numbers have increased, and we are monitoring the situation closely. I wouldn't call it a crisis.
Immigration Minister Ahmed Hussein visited the processing center in Lacolle late today. He reaffirmed the view that Canada is an attractive destination for those seeking protection. But he took a tougher stance, saying refugee claimants in the United States should stay there.
We urge anyone seeking asylum to do so in the first safe country that they have. And if they want to do so in Canada, they have to show up at a port of entry.
Still, Hussein says that the government will process all applications according to the law, adding that the Immigration and Refugee Board will try to hear all of those cases quickly. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
We now have a better sense of the chaos for hundreds of Air Transat passengers stuck in Ottawa for hours on Monday. Newly released 911 tapes detail the calls with paramedics that evening.
Code 4 over at the Airport Parkway.
A code 4 means a possibly life-threatening emergency. That was the initial dispatch after the first passenger called 911.
There was a citizen that called it in saying that there's approximately 100 people on a plane, generally unwell. Complaints of severe pain, cold sweat, coughing.
The dispatcher went on to say that airport fire crews were notified. Air Transat Flight 157 from Brussels to Montreal was redirected to Ottawa because of bad weather. Passengers were stranded on the tarmac for nearly 6 hours. The Canadian Transportation Agency has launched an inquiry into how Air Transat handled the mess. It could force the airline to compensate passengers. Still ahead, the world's fastest man prepares to hang up his spikes.
I know what it is, and I have to go. They don't want me to go, but
not before he blows the doors off one last time. Plus, mystery meat. What are you really cooking on the barbecue? Quebec City's Muslim community will finally get a cemetery just weeks after another proposed burial site was turned down in a vote. Today, the mayor accepted an offer from the Quebec Islamic Culture Centre to buy a parcel of land. The sale still needs final approval from City Council. The cemetery would be located not far from the mosque where 6 men were shot dead in January. Officials in BC are calling this year's wildfire season the worst in 6 decades, and the threat isn't over. Today, the government extended a provincial state of emergency for 2 more weeks. There are still more than 120 active wildfires, and 25 evacuation orders are still in effect. 2 weeks after being called weak by Donald Trump, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is vowing to hunt down the sources responsible for the torrent of high-level leaks coming out of the White House. 4 people have already been charged. And as Stephen D'Souza reports, journalists are also being targeted.
Leaks have brought down National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, exposed Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with a Russian lawyer, and pulled back the curtain on the inner workings of the presidency. As leaks go, the Donald Trump White House is like Niagara Falls.
We are taking a stand. This culture of leaking must stop.
Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions was blunt.
We will investigate and seek to bring criminals to justice. We will not allow rogue anonymous sources with security clearances to sell out our country.
Leaking is a regular part of the interplay between government and media, but under Trump, it's reached a new level. A Senate tally from earlier this year found that in the first 126 days of his presidency, Trump experienced 125 leaks. Just yesterday, transcripts of his calls with world leaders were leaked.
There are many officials in U.S. government who treat these issues and their work very seriously and believe they're under assault by President Trump.
Some leaks are just palace intrigue, sniping between warring White House factions. Experts say the Department of Justice should focus on the other kind of leaks, the ones involving classified information.
Because I assume they're not going to waste investigative resources in things that aren't crimes, that are merely embarrassments to the president.
Sessions said 4 people have been charged. The Justice Department has tripled the number of leak investigations, and he even hinted at going after journalists.
These kinds of leaks and speculation.
It could signal a return to the Obama era, which prosecuted more cases of leaks than all previous administrations combined. When asked if they'd consider prosecuting journalists, officials today wouldn't rule it out.
Simply saying I'm not going to answer hypotheticals, that leaves it hanging out there as a possibility, which is a change. Sessions' words could send a chill through government and the media, but should appease the president. Trump had criticized his attorney general for not doing enough. The promised clampdown may give Donald Trump some peace of mind as he leaves for a 17-day holiday. But if recent history is any indication, the leaks probably won't stop. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Washington.
A former pharmaceutical executive, once dubbed the most hated man in America, has been convicted of fraud. Martin Shkreli rose to notoriety after he jacked up the price of a potentially life-saving drug 5,000%. But today's verdict wasn't connected to that. The 34-year-old was accused of misleading investors and stealing from his company to pay them back. Shkreli was found guilty of 3 of the 8 charges against him. He faces up to 20 years in prison. A former Volkswagen executive appeared in a Detroit court today over the automaker's huge emissions cheating scandal. Under a plea deal, Oliver Schmidt faces up to 7 years behind bars for fraud and violating clean air rules. He'll be sentenced in December. Earlier this year, VW admitted to using software to get around emissions rules on nearly 600,000 vehicles. Between fines and buying back cars, it could cost the company $25 billion. Well, for nearly a decade, he's managed to scorch the earth with his speed, leaving every opponent in his dust, and all with that smile on his face. Today, Usain Bolt, the fastest man alive, took another step towards the finish line of his immaculate career. He breezed through his 100-meter heat at the World Championships in London. With one more heat and then the final to go, that's a mere 20 seconds-ish of running before Bolt waves goodbye to his marquee race for good. Thomas Dagla has more.
For track fans, it's worth the long wait. One more chance to see their sport's biggest star.
Who is number 1? Usain Bolt all the way, boy.
The crowds, those unmistakable colors, and yes, that signature pose. All signs of the lasting mark left by Usain Bolt.
I don't even think he realizes what he has done for our country and what he has done for his sport.
World record 9:58. This has never been seen before in the history.
He's dominated the track for more than a decade, winning an unprecedented 11 world championships and 8 Olympic golds. Fans followed him through it all, but no one closer than them, Bolt's father Wellesley and mother Jennifer.
Of course, he's a winner all the way. Thank you very much.
Their son's so famous, even the parents have fans.
Thank you very much, thank you.
All here to witness Bolt's last World Championships.
For his final races, Bolt is back at the Olympic Stadium where he won triple gold back in 2012. The more than 60,000 people here all want him to make history again.
Usain Bolt, Canadian Brendan Rodney.
Even those running against him are inclined to smile in this moment.
He's a legend, you know, he's the greatest of all time, you know, so it's always definitely, you know, a great day to just watch him run.
Hence the standing ovation as soon as he steps out on the track.
The gun and a slow start for Bolt. The big man having to work hard is Daciolo and Vico. Vico has the lead. Here comes Bolt now with those big strides, easing up, having a glance to his left. He wins it easily.
As if propelled by admiration, he makes 100 meters look effortless. Then, flashing that smile, a hint of the personality that's made him larger than life, even for one of Bolt's oldest rivals.
He's a character, man. I mean, having fun with him in the back, you know, before we warming up. So it's just an easy atmosphere, no really tension.
He's a showman, and he's brought the sport to
a lot of people around the world, and I think it's going to be big shoes to fill.
To retire on top, he'll still need to win the 100-meter final and the 4x100 relay with Team Jamaica. His long goodbye has just begun. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, London.
Usain Bolt's path to a golden goodbye got a little easier when Andre de Grasse pulled out of the competition, but make no mistake, Canada still has plenty of podium hopefuls left in London. And for a better sense of who we should be watching, I spoke with our Olympic commentator, Scott Russell. Bummer about de Grasse.
Yeah. Really.
But he's not the only awesome athlete on the team. Who might we become familiar with over the next several days?
Well, you're right, Paul, because 2 years ago at the World Championships in Beijing, Canada won 8 medals. De Grasse was involved in 2 of those. But coming back to these World Championships in London, there are 2 reigning world champions. The high jumper, Derek Druin, he went on to win the gold medal at the Olympic Games in Rio. And then there's Sean Barber, the pole vaulter. He's had some struggles, both at the Olympic Games and since in the Diamond League Series, but still a world-class pole vaulter and could take a run at Renaud Lavallée, who is the world record holder. A couple of other great characters. World Championship silver medalist in 2015, the 800-meter runner, Melissa Bishop, has recently set a new Canadian record, 157.01, a tremendously gifted runner with a strong finish and a great character. And the one I really like is Damian Warner, who won a silver medal in the decathlon at the last World Championships, bronze medal at the Olympic Games. But with the retirement of Ashton Eaton of the United States, Warner has a chance to become the world champion decathlete, and that might be the best athlete in the world today.
You know, it's funny, I recognize some of those names from Rio, right? And, you know, we pay a lot of attention, a lot more attention, I guess, to the Olympics than these, but these are huge in the run-up to the next Olympics, is that right?
Absolutely. The new stars are going to start to establish themselves at these World Championships. World Championship summits occur only every 2 years. The next one will be the year prior to the Olympic Games. But this is when the next crop comes forward, the next generation. Unfortunately, this is where Andre de Grasse wanted to start to make his mark in the lead up to Tokyo 2020. That's not going to happen. But it is going to happen for people like Damian Warner and Melissa Bishop and those stars who will be going through to Tokyo 2020.
You know, a lot has been said about, you know, this was de Grasse's last chance at Bolt, right? And that he might have, do you think he could have beat him briefly? Could he?
I'll tell you what.
We'll never know, right?
We'll never know. I think that Bolt is the greatest sprinter of all time. I don't know if he would be beaten by anyone. But if someone had a chance, I think it was Andre de Grasse. Here is the heir apparent. Tremendously tragic that he won't get that chance. He might have done it.
But let's wish this team without him all the best, and great talking to you, Scott.
Thanks, Paul.
Always a pleasure talking with Scott. Straight ahead, get ready for a gut check. We'll look at what's really inside a barbecue staple.
It may be encouraging to see a green field instead of blowing dust and sand, but don't be fooled by it. Most farmers trying to forget how tough it was to farm last year say this year they're still paying the price. Are you going to find Mr. Right, if you will, in a bar, do you think?
I think your Mr. Right is anywhere.
And even with all those fans outside, there are another 50,000 fans inside the stadium ready to cheer on their World Series champions. However many Taliban there are out there, the idea is not to simply have Canadian forces roll in and get rid of them. Instead, it's to get the job done with Afghan forces. This is not a sports event, like no team has just won the Super Bowl. This is a political event, and people are happier than I've ever seen them. This was home to some of the most dramatic video taken the day the tsunami struck, March 11th. The water basically just swept up and over the tsunami wall that sort of surrounds the harbor here.
So, you might guess for cicadas, it's a pretty intense time.
And this is what it's all about. This is what they wait 17 years to do. One of these is a male, one of these is a female, and they're going at it.
Truly, you don't really want to watch. It's kind of yucky.
It's jammed tonight, full of people cheering at the end of everything Donald Trump says. This is his moment. It's the speech of his life, and he's painted a picture of a crime-ridden, scary country in the middle of a world that is in chaos thanks to politicians of all stripes. Under him, no more. You know, Donald Trump is a big, important story and all that, but I don't know if I'll ever recover from seeing cicadas have sex. You know, it's like there's stuff you don't want to see in this world. Those are some examples of some of the stories I've done over the years here at CBC. Normally, I'm based in Washington covering Donald Trump, but tonight, of course, I'm hosting The National. And in the next break, we're here to take as many of your questions live about any of those stories, about Donald Trump, about anything you want. It doesn't have to be about Trump, even though that's all anyone wants to talk about. We'll do that in the next break. To get your questions in, put them in the comments section below, and we will see you in the next break. Nearly a decade after the Great Recession, it appears that employment in Canada has rebounded back to levels seen before the decline. The U.S. numbers are similarly on the rise, but it's not necessarily reason to celebrate. Jacqueline Hansen explains why.
A lot has happened since 2008. Justin Bieber, Instagram, Barack Obama's presidency, but also something that probably matters much more to Canadians, whether or not you have a job. Before 2008, Canada's economy was humming along until the most severe recession to hit the U.S. in decades started to drag Canada down with it. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians lost their jobs. The unemployment rate jumped from a little over 6% to more than 8.5%. Businesses of all sorts lost confidence and cut back hiring. In the United States, at the center of the global economic and financial crisis, the job market suffered even more. Unemployment doubled. Fast forward to today, after years of ultra-low interest rates in both countries and attempts to get each economy back on track, in at least one way, both countries are now better off. The U.S. unemployment rate has improved dramatically. It's now below pre-recession levels. And Canada has made a comeback too, more slowly and not quite to the same degree, but the jobless rate here is now at its lowest since October 2008. But just hold on, there's a catch. Part of the reason unemployment has fallen is because there are fewer Canadians looking for work. If there were as many people trying to get jobs today as there were in 2008, that unemployment rate would be higher. And our economy isn't in the clear yet either. Thanks to those low interest rates, we rely a lot more on housing now. And this recent long stretch of low oil prices is still taking a toll. But over the past year, our job market has been impressive, with big gains month after month. The signs point to more strength ahead. And if the economy also continues to improve, businesses will need even more workers. And there are likely plenty of Canadians waiting on the sidelines, ready to jump back in. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, for many in this country, a long weekend has just started. A great excuse to crank up that grill. But here's something that might take the sizzle out of your barbecue. It's a new study about what goes into some sausages. Havard Gould reveals the unsavory truth.
There are no labels on the sausages grilling on street corners, but a new study suggests it wouldn't help that much if there were.
That is not fair. We have to say that. You have to say what is inside.
An analysis by a research team at the University of Guelph of 100 sausages bought in stores in 3 cities in Canada found that 20% of them were full of surprises. There were beef sausages containing pork, turkey sausages that were pure chicken, and one pork sausage containing horse meat.
I don't think it's right. I mean, they say one thing and then something else is in it.
Well, for someone like me, I don't eat pork, so that would be really alarming if I suddenly ended up eating something that I didn't think that product was.
All the sausages that failed the test had much more than trace amounts of the wrong meat.
It may just be a matter of what's available to go into the grinder.
The test raises all sorts of questions. If a recall was necessary, labels and records have to be right.
Given the globalized nature of our supply chains today, it's not always clear how many hands these ingredients have passed through. So it's hard to know exactly where this contamination is occurring.
The government agency that ordered the tests is pointing the finger at 2 unnamed suppliers, but providing few details. One company stopped production.
None of the samples that actually contained off-label meat in it actually posed a risk to humans.
And the agency says the study, which was mostly about trying out new testing methods, shouldn't alarm Canadians.
It was intended to be a small sample that tested the technology and happened to give us information about a product.
Testing continues. More results, surprising or otherwise, are expected sometime next year. Howard Gould, CBC News, Toronto.
To some brief international notes now, and Venezuela's political uncertainty that took a new turn today. President Nicolas Maduro swore in a controversial assembly. The new body can dissolve the opposition-run Congress, raising fears Venezuela could become a dictatorship. Canada is among several countries refusing to recognize the new assembly. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is dismissing 2 criminal investigations launched against him as, quote, the inevitable scandal of the week. He spoke out after it was reported that one of his former top aides has agreed to testify against him. The 4-term leader denies allegations of bribery and breach of trust. Paul Kagame, the man credited with turning around Rwanda after the 1990s genocide, has been re-elected president in a landslide. Officials say Kagame won more than 98% of today's vote. The victory extends his 17 years in power. Still ahead, 50 years of Caribbean culture. The evolution of a world-famous Canadian party, plus Black and Blue, the growing chasm between African Americans and the police. Let's check today's business numbers. The TSX edged up 66 points. The dollar lost 2/5 cent. In New York, the Dow gained another 66 points to its 8th straight record close, and the price of oil increased 55 cents a barrel. And we're back for Facebook Live questions. 3rd time this week. What do you say? Is this timing with Mansbridge? No, Mansbridge did like 800 of them, didn't he? So, 3rd one for me this week. And, you know, I think anybody who was watching Wednesday will remember if we can take a wide shot here, we showed off big things. This big wall here that we call the big wall. Today I'm going to show, before we start, a little thing. Little thing in my ear. You know how you always, you hear about the cables that go up in people's ears? Well, they're wireless now. So I'm going to pull this one out. I don't know if you can see this. Hold it this way as well. So this is how the control room can talk to me. This goes in my ear. And I always thought when I first got these things that little cable was an antenna. But in fact, it's so you can stick it in and stick it out. And so it doesn't get stuck in there. Now I can hear when this is wrapping up. They give you the countdowns this way. Anyway, okay, let's take some questions. I didn't get to too many last time because my answers tended to be so long-winded. So we're going to go to one from last time. Andrea Heald, and again, I hope I'm right on the pronunciations, asks, what are the challenges about staying objective in reporting, considering how many emotional stories you cover? I get questions about objectivity a lot. And I got to say, in my view, it's actually one of the easiest things to do, is to set aside your personal views, your personal biases, and just report. There's always another side. It's one of the key things I think this job teaches, is that there's always another side to everything. So you stay objective, no matter what you think inside going into it. I kind of think it makes me boring at parties, because no matter what anybody says, I always say, well, there's always another way of looking at things. So it's just a part of the job, and you always think, well, what would somebody else think? Not everybody has the same view, so I actually do find it quite easy is not the right way to put it, but I find it not hard. What do we have here? Jeff S. Levy asks, how did you personally handle covering the Bernardo Homolka case? Yeah, well, no short answer to that. It was horrific I'm not going to get into the details of that, but it was pretty brutal sitting in the courtroom during the trial. I kind of had 2 rules that I that directed me that summer. One was every lunch, I kind of just wandered away from the courthouse to forget about it. I went to Sam the Record Man, I went to the classical music section, and just kind of flipped through records listening to soothing music, get my brain off what the horror that we just heard in court all morning. And the other thing was, instead of just making the stories always about Bernardo or Homolka, every story that I did included a little bit of background about the young girls who were victims. Because I wanted them to be in these stories every single time. That it shouldn't just be about the accused, but it should be about them too, and to not forget about them. And I think that helped me deal with all the sort of awful stuff that we had to sit and listen to every day. Stefan Vera asks, hey Paul, what kind of music do you like? Also no short answer. I'm a massive Beatles fan, okay? There, dates me. I think there's the Beatles and then there's everything else. But I listen to everything else. I love music. Having just talked about going to listen to classical music during the Bernardo trial, but man, oh man, it's my vice, is I still buy CDs and I love the variety in music. And I'm not really giving you specifics because I'm not going to start rhyming off people, but I listen to a lot of Beatles. There, I said it. Do we have time for one more? We've got 20 seconds. Maybe not. Only got to 2 questions. These things have been a blast filling in for, on this desk, taking these questions. I'm sure other people will do it. We've got to get back to the show now. Talk to you on the other side.
Across this country, we've seen people get murdered on national television for breaking no law at all. And what was the recourse? None, because they're an army.
Unarmed black men shot dead for nothing while killer police walk free. That is the perception of law enforcement in much of America's black community today. Just this week, the NAACP actually warned people of color to travel to Missouri, quote, at their own risk. And the relationship is crumbling across the country, perhaps nowhere more so than in Chicago. Last fall, Neil MacDonald traveled to that troubled city for a closer look at the situation, and at one particular case that may turn things around. First, we warn you, this story contains troubling violence and rough language. It is, after all, in a part of America that some consider a war zone.
You would probably have never seen this in years gone past. Raw, uncensored video showing how Chicago police responded to a stolen car report last summer. What unfolded once police spotted the vehicle amounted to a death foretold. The suspect, after all, was black. As it turned out, the fleeing thief couldn't have shot anyone. He was unarmed. 18-year-old Paul O'Neill would die on the way to hospital, and the officer who killed him seemed mostly concerned about himself.
Fucking desk duty for 30 days now. Motherfucker. I shot.
That might have been the case a few years ago, but not now. Instead of desk duty, all the officers involved were immediately suspended, and this videotape was made public. Chicago is trying to reform its police to end the impunity they've enjoyed for well over 100 years. A history so brutal and so racist that the city's black residents often refer to the constabulary as an occupying force. The city has in fact become the boiling center of black American anger, and it's all traceable to the killing of this young man, Laquan McDonald, a troubled teenager who one night in October 2014 ran across the wrong police squad. As always, police justified the killing, claiming self-defense. They said Laquan McDonald appeared crazed and that he'd lunged with a knife at the officer who'd shot him. That was a lie, but it remained the official version for more than a year. And then a judge overruled Chicago police and ordered the force to release video of the killing. What it showed broke the public trust like an axe-splitting wood. In the video, McDonald is walking away from police, not lunging. Suddenly, one officer rushes towards him, opening fire. There's a pause, and then the policeman opens fire again. The autopsy revealed 16 bullets pierced the teenager, 9 in his back. Laquan McDonald's weapon, as it turned out, was a small jackknife. It was closed when police recovered it from the body. The night the video of the killing was released, a collection of Chicago activist groups converged, loosely united by the slogan, "Black Lives Matter." Black citizens across America watched in outrage. Laquan McDonald was quickly becoming a proxy for every unjust use of deadly force by police against blacks in America, and there have been lots of them.
This isn't a new conversation in the African-American community, right?
Toussaint Werner is an activist and one of the organizers of the protests.
But across this country, we've seen people get murdered on national television for breaking no law at all. And what was the recourse? None, right? Because they're an army.
In the last 7 years, Chicago police have shot and killed 102 people and wounded more than 170 others. 4 out of 5 of them black. It's a war on black people, says Werner.
They are an army. They are occupying force. That's what they are. We're in a perpetual war. So it's just a casualty of that war. It's not a murder, it's a casualty of that war.
The very day the video was released and the cover-up collapsed, Officer Jason Van Dyke was charged with murder. Jamie Calvin is a renowned civil rights advocate in Chicago. He obtained the autopsy results on Laquan McDonald, and he led the efforts to expose the video. He says the official cover-up went a lot further than the shooter's fellow officers.
The machinery of government at all levels, from cops on the scene all the way up to the highest levels of government, had to mobilize to impose and sustain this false narrative. That involved immediately destruction of evidence, intimidation of witnesses, falsification of reports, withholding public information from the public, notably the video, and then ultimately a $5 million settlement with the family in the hope of containing the story.
In the days before the video was released at Chicago City Hall, officials were frightened about what might happen. They remembered the eruption in Ferguson, Missouri. The killing of Ferguson resident Michael Brown, another unarmed black man, had triggered riots and lootings of businesses and arson. Knowing what was really on the Laquan McDonald tape, Chicago police feared a similar nightmare on the South Side once it was released. But Chicago's black activists were determined not to give police an excuse to crack down. They attacked businesses too, but they did it by disrupting Black Friday holiday shopping in the city's so-called Gold Coast. That forced white Chicago to pay attention.
You're fucking disrupting humanity. That's what you are doing. Get the fuck out of here, kid.
To the displeasure of conservatives, the tactics worked. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, President Obama's former chief of staff, publicly acknowledged that at its core, the city's police force was racist.
And that is wrong. And that has to change in this city. That has to come to an end now. No citizen is a second-class citizen in the city of Chicago.
The mayor fired the police superintendent and set up a public inquiry. Chicago's police began to feel vulnerable and betrayed. The president of Chicago's police union, Dean Angelo,
And we have politicians here that call me on the phone and say, oh, how you doing, and we're worried about you guys and your girls, and you do such a great job, but you know, make sure you don't tell anybody I called. But just so you know, I got your back. I'm like, hell you do. You don't.
When the inquiry appointed by the mayor issued its report, it was ugly. It described a long, sad history of death, false imprisonment, physical abuse, and general discontent about police actions in neighborhoods of color. The police force's own data, the report said, showed police have no regard for the sanctity of life when it comes to people of color.
So you hear it over and over and over again, bad police, bad police, bad police. Well, that's the narrative you hear. So the Accountability Task Force comes out with a report that Chicago policemen are systemically racist, based on 400 people. Where's the other couple of million?
The mayor then agreed with it. I think that's an unreasonable thing to say.
Yeah. There's a standing joke in police, we're not racist, we don't like anybody. We don't care who you are. If you are a bad guy, we don't like you.
Today, every kid on the south side of Chicago knows the name Laquan McDonald. In their world, the concept of legal rights is an abstract one at best. They know that every cop effectively has the power of life and death. Even the youngest know that.
When they come like pull up and stuff, I get scared, and then instead of I just do what they tell me to do. Like if they say go home, I just go home. And then like if they like say where you live and stuff, and then I just tell them, and then they can get it over with.
I just live with it. I think about ball. I'm trying to make it out.
Police say yes, submit, and obey. If Laquan McDonald had just dropped his little knife that night, they say, he'd be alive today. Or not, of course. Do you think compliance guarantees that you're going to be okay?
There's no guarantees anywhere. You know, you don't know. But if you look at the situations that we had here, you drop the knife, it's over. You've been requested to drop the knife for minutes, multiple minutes. If you stop fighting or stop resisting,
A knife's a knife, you know. What merits opening fire? Does running away merit opening fire? Or driving away?
This depends on the circumstances.
When we return, Murder City, USA.
This is the story of building the Trans Mountain Pipeline. Between Jasper and Red Pass, a start is made. All the latest weapons employed by engineers in modern pipeline construction converge on the theaters of war. The enemy, one by one, toppling to echoing cries of timber. And the steel monsters arrive. To 140 sidings from Edmonton to Vancouver, 5,000 railway flat cars bring their loads of pipes, and then to their individual prearranged spots in the continuous chain. They're linked together by a complicated process that assures 100% accuracy. The pipe is 24 inches in diameter, and every inch of it must be evenly coated, and then checked and rechecked. Then a wrapping is added, made from glass, felt, and asbestos, as the men observe their finished product laid to rest. A continuous tube, liquid railway, stretching 718 miles.
The big question is, of course, whether there is life on Mars, and the short answer is that it's not impossible.
No one knows what Mars really looks like, but this week, streaming back from deep space is the best information in history, bringing us nearer the answers concerning the origin of life, whether man is something special or a special freak.
The search for life on Mars is still continuing. Data received from the Viking landers have puzzled NASA scientists, and within the past 2 days, they've been able to confirm that the ice caps of Mars are really frozen water, not carbon dioxide as once believed. So the chances of finding life get better with each passing day.
Its past was hostile and torn by meteors. Its present is cold and barren. A colony here would seem a futile fantasy. But today's dreamers are scientists, and they do their dreaming for NASA.
I think the possibility of Mars as a second home for mankind is very important for our future as a race.
The students are building a prototype Martian colony called Marsville. It's on Earth, but they do understand what it will take to settle on Mars.
The temperature on Mars is a lot colder than on Earth.
And these students understand cooperation is the only way to get to Mars.
I mean, with all of the technology they have now, we could have somebody go up pretty soon.
They've come from all over the world for this meeting of the International Mars Society. They've got bumper stickers. They've got a Martian flag already picked out.
The one question that always comes up is this: is it worth the many billions more to put people on the surface of the red planet rather than just machines?
The Mars fans here admit the barriers are huge, but they also say we have the capability and the money to get to Mars. All we need now is the will to do it.
To find out more, we need to go out into space, and space research, like politics, is the art of the possible. What we would like to do must be weighed against what we can do.
Chicago police will tell you that most of the people they kill are black because most crime is found in black neighborhoods. And there is no question, the South Side is single-handedly raising the national murder rate. There have been more than 3,000 shootings in Chicago so far this year, most of them on the South Side. It's home to an oppressed, segregated underclass. And where this sort of hopelessness exists, so does crime. But Toussaint Werner, who's trying to raise respectful, educated kids on the South Side, says the police are basically arguing that blacks are intrinsically more criminal.
There's an innate fear of black people. We've been branded as these animalistic, overtly violent kind of people. Right? But when you're really from these communities, you know better. Because the minute that white power structure steps in, you bow down, which is why there's never been any real revolutions in the first place. You know what I mean?
The closest thing to a revolution was back in the 60s. The Black Panthers began as a neighborhood patrol. They armed themselves, they said, for self-defense against police. It didn't work. They were crushed. 2 of their leaders were killed in their sleep by Chicago police. That was eventually deemed an assassination, but the police were never charged.
But he would have been an easier target.
Timuel Black lived through those turbulent times. He worked alongside Martin Luther King, and he still believes in Dr. King's message of hope. But the killing of Laquan McDonald fills Timuel Black with disgust, if not hatred.
You see, when this boy was killed 16 times, shot 16 times, running away from the police, would that policeman have done that if he had been white? Why would he do that? When he was practicing?
Why do you think he did it?
He could brag to his fellow policemen. I shot that nigga 16 times, hit him every time. I shot him, then he can brag. That becomes a medal of honor for him.
Being black is, in itself, still grounds in much of the U.S. to be stopped and questioned, or worse. Black Americans just seem to take it for granted, no matter what their station or their education, especially black men.
If I take this suit off and I put on my regular clothes, which is sweatpants and gym shoes, and I walk down, let's say, a major artery in the city like 79th Street, Police will pull over and they'll have a conversation with me or tell me to move along or get to moving or yada, 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 right? In no way, shape, or form is that legal. You are guilty until proven innocent instead of innocent until proven guilty. So when you create that concept, you can pin crime on anybody you want to. Nobody's gonna come to their aid.
Still, Werner thinks this might be a national moment, that those videos of police killings have America's attention right now.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you again for all that you do in our lives. I thank you, Lord, that you allowed me to
at the South Side's legendary Hard Times restaurant, he and fellow activists gather to pray and to strategize.
Now we start moving, right? Now we start building. Now we start pushing our own agendas through politics. We start pushing our agendas through economics.
Amen. Amen.
White Chicago, of course, remains a place utterly apart from the South Side. Bears fans can gather in a downtown parking lot before game time, drinking openly and barbecuing at tailgate parties, knowing very well that police aren't going to be rousting them or telling them to move along. Whites can carry on, oblivious to the violence, just a few miles away on the South Side. But the people who understand what's happening in Chicago say oblivious is not an option.
We're all challenged to elevate our games, to be worthy of this moment and the possibility, we've been talking about for real change. We've got to elevate our games.
Back to campaign 2016, a major upset in the race for Cook County State's Attorney.
And in fact, the state's attorney who mishandled the Laquan McDonald case lost her bid for re-election earlier this year, replaced by someone voters thought better represented their interests. And more change could be coming from Washington. The Federal Justice Department is conducting an investigation into the Chicago police force, and that report is due out any day. As for those officers involved in the shooting of Paul O'Neill, the car thief, it turns out the shots they thought were coming from O'Neill were actually coming from other officers. The union calls it fog of war. No charges have been filed. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Chicago.
And a note about the shooting of Paul O'Neill, that incident is still under investigation. Still to come on The National, how Toronto's world-famous Carabana Festival has grown over 50 years.
This is the National News Bulletin, a summary of the day's news.
Even bad news sounded good in those exciting, terrible days when radio news came of age, especially when read by our own voice of doom, Lorne Greene, when Haas was a colt.
Naval battle in the South Pacific.
Madam, will you please put away that knitting? You're going to have to applaud, Now let's all relax. Everybody, shall we? Nobody be nervous.
And to balance the glum news from overseas, CBC Radio offered happy-go-lucky fare.
Who's there? It's the Happy Gang. Well, come on in.
It all began in 1901. The discoverer of wireless, Marconi, received his first transatlantic radio message from Signal Hill in Newfoundland.
Hi.
And CBC Radio has been seeing to it that Canada gets the message ever since. In an array of programs from music talk shows like this, ranging through schools and youth, agriculture, religion, serious music, and variety. A busy place, the CBC, and a big country to serve. How do you suppose all these programs get to all the people spread all over the map? Well, if you think of the network as a superhighway, then you can picture national program clearance as the traffic cop who keeps things flowing smoothly. National program clearance arranges distribution of our radio and TV programs by landlines and by coast-to-coast microwave network. Just to complicate matters, there are several problems arising out of the different time zones into which the country is divided, not to mention line availability.
Ah, yes, line availability.
I said not to mention that.
Oh, sorry.
A CBC color presentation.
Let's follow an average broadcasting day from the beginning. It's very simple. There's the business of booking studios, getting the slides to telecine, last-minute news inserts, coffee to be ordered, public affairs specials, graphics to be ordered and approved, clear screen projection to be set up, stagehands to be scheduled, coffee to be brought, beats to be lined up, pianos to tune, light bulbs to be replaced, monitors to be serviced, press releases to be issued, coffee to be tasted, props to be picked up, cameras to be fired, shot lists to be typed, rehearsals to be scheduled, contracts to be drawn up, cold coffee to be dumped, memos to be filed.
Hold it, cut.
Cut. The only way this will cut is go back to the beginning.
It doesn't matter if you have a crazy idea, it doesn't matter if you're eccentric and a bit out there. That's the equal opportunity that the show provides. Anybody can pitch.
She really is a person that really cares.
What have you got to lose? Nothing.
Hey guys, Johnny Harris here. Still Standing Season 3 is up and off to a roaring start, but we still have a lot of great stories from little towns across the country. So tune in, will you? Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock on CBC.
Archaeologists have discovered a Roman settlement in France and nicknamed it Little Pompeii. The site in southern France was deserted after fires and preserved in good condition. The ruins were blanketed by ash from the flames, much like the original Pompeii. Archaeologists found luxurious homes, decor, and mosaics that date to the 1st century. Some of the remains will be sent to a museum for repairs. The rest will be demolished to make room for housing complexes. Well, it's nowhere near as old, but one of North America's biggest festivals reaches a major milestone this weekend. The Toronto Caribbean Carnival, commonly known as Carabana, turns, are you ready, 50. Stephanie Skenderis looks back at its humble beginnings and the push to keep the hyper-fun, over-the-top party spirit alive for many more years to come.
The costumes are ready. The steel pans are waiting. And tomorrow, another Caribbean Carnival parade will snake through parts of Toronto, just like it has for the last 50 years.
I like to characterize Carabana as a baby that was born in '67.
Maurice Bygrave has been there from the beginning, one of the founding members of what was then called Carabana.
We had doubts whether we would be able to survive because we started it with very little funds. We depended on support from the community and businesses and so forth.
The event hasn't just survived, it thrives. Today, about 1.2 million people attend, and it has an economic impact of almost $350 million. But costs continue to be an issue.
Our small enterprise here, it's about 300 people, cost us $95,000. And 80% of that comes out of our pockets.
Corporate sponsorship has helped, but comes with its own twists and turns. A new sponsor has big plans for the event.
We'd like to elevate the prestige of this carnival to the level of the Rio Carnival or the Trinidad Carnival or Mardi Gras.
Mark Itwaru has been coming to the carnival his entire life. His father was on the original board. He plans to take it into the future, starting with a live stream to 110 countries around the world.
The more diverse and inclusive the crowd is, the more branding and marketing opportunities there are, which brings money in, which helps make the festival even better.
But for families like the Belascos, the opportunity to showcase their culture is priceless.
You know what is nice about it? The carnival day, you stand there and I watch and say, I did that. It's the greatest feeling that you can have.
A tradition to nurture for the next 50 years. Stephanie Skenderis, CBC News, Toronto.
Happy 50th, Carabana. That's the national for this Friday night. For news at any hour, you can always go to cbcnews.ca. I'm Paul Hunter. Good night.